joy, situation, actual reaction, organic reaction, agony, tension, disgrace or blame, disarray, sadness, past injury. If you cry. If your accomplice cries. Takeaway. Interesting points. If you've ever cried during or after sex, realize that it's totally typical and you're in good company. They may be cheerful tears, tears of help, or a touch of despairing. Tears during or after sex can likewise be a simply actual response. It's science. Clinically, crying after sex is known as postcoital dysphoria (PCD) or, incidentally, postcoital treatise (PCT). PCD manifestations may incorporate mournfulness, trouble, and touchiness after consensual sex, regardless of whether it was completely fulfilling. PCD doesn't really need to include a climax. It can happen to anybody, paying little heed to sex or sexual direction. Examination on the point is restricted, so it's difficult to state the number of individuals experiences it. In a recent report, specialists studied 230 hetero females and discovered PCD to be common. Utilizing an unknown poll for a recent report, specialists found that of 1,208 guys, 41% experienced PCD. Up to 4% said it was a customary thing. Track with as we investigate a few reasons somebody may cry during or after sex and what to do if it happens to you or your accomplice. Joy. A scope of feelings can bring out crying, and they're not all awful. You've presumably experienced or seen tears of bliss, for example, at a wedding or birth of a youngster. Something very similar can occur during or after sex. Possibly you're head over heels in adoration, or maybe you just had the best sex ever. If you haven't engaged in sexual relations in some time or foreseen it for quite a while, these emotions can be much more extreme. Being overpowered by the situation. Did you get completely lost at the time? Is it safe to say that you were pretending or fantasizing during sex? These situations can fire up the strain and make a passionate thrill ride. You may have immediately skipped from expectation to dread to bliss before slamming down to earth. Tears may mean you're just overpowered by the excitement, all things considered. In case you're irritated by the crying reaction, you can take a stab at restraining the situation a piece to check whether that makes a difference. Being overpowered by your body's reaction. Did you simply have the greatest climax of your life? Was it your first involvement in various climaxes? Extraordinary actual sexual delight can overpower, and it's not astonishing that you would cry. Alternately, you may be overpowered by your body's absence of reaction. On the off chance that you've been anticipating incredible sex and don't get the completion you need, you may be baffled and tense enough to cry. Natural reaction. A few evaluations recommend that somewhere in the range of 32 to 46% of females experience PCD. Be that as it may, there hasn't been a great deal of exploration to decide why. It could be because of hormonal changes that occur during sex, which can prompt serious feelings. Crying may likewise be a mechanism trusted source for lessening strain and extreme actual excitement. In case you're falling off a drought, out of nowhere relinquishing all that repressed sexual energy could positively carry you to tears. In some cases, it's simply physical. Agony. There are numerous reasons you may encounter torment with sex. Agonizing intercourse is called dyspareunia, which incorporates torment during or after intercourse due to absence of oil, injury or aggravation of the private parts, urinary plot or vaginal disease, dermatitis or other skin conditions close to the private parts, vaginal muscle fits called vaginismus, inborn anomalies. Actual agony related to sex can be dealt with, so make a meeting with your primary care physician. If sex play includes restrictions or any degree of torment that you're not happy with, converse with your accomplice about how to pretend without causing actual agony. Locate the level that works for both of you. Healthline newsletter. Get our twice-week-by-week women's wellness email. To assist you with being admirable, we'll send you a legitimate discussion about ladies' bodies, and magnificence, sustenance, and wellness exhortation. Enter your email. Your security is critical to us. Tension. Crying is a characteristic response to stress, dread, and nervousness. At the point when you're feeling restless by and large, it's difficult to set that aside to have intercourse. Your body might be making a half-hearted effort, yet your brain is somewhere else. You may wind up in tears over it. Would it be able to be that you have a bit of execution nervousness? You may be stressed over whether you fulfilled your accomplice or whether you satisfied your hopes. All that uneasiness can open the conduits and get this show on the road. Disgrace or blame. There is a lot of reasons you may feel such disgrace or blame over sex that it makes you cry. Sooner or later in your life, somebody may have disclosed to you that sex is intrinsically awful, particularly in specific settings. You don't need to get tied up with these hypotheses to have them fly into your head at inauspicious minutes. You may be awkward with what you see as creature, conduct, unusual, sex, or absence of motor control. You could have self-perception issues or fear the possibility of being seen bare. Disgrace and blame can likewise be lingering impacts of different issues inside the relationship that follow you into the room. Disarray. Disarray after sex isn't too unordinary. It very well might be because of the sex itself. Was it an instance of blended signs? You figured things would go one way, however they veered off toward another path? You disclosed to them you disdained something, however they did it in any case? You thought you were giving delight, however they're clearly unsatisfied or vexed? Uncertain issues and passionate disarray from a relationship can attack your sexual coexistence. You may have various thoughts regarding where the relationship stands or how the other individual truly feels about you. Sex doesn't generally end up incredible. Here and there either of you is left befuddled and frustrated. Despondency. If you wind up crying regularly, it very well may be an indication of sorrow or other emotional wellness condition that ought to be tended to. Different indications of sadness can include pity, disappointment, crabbiness, or outrage, tension, trouble dozing, anxiety, or weakness, loss of focus or memory, hunger changes, unexplained throbbing painfulness, loss of interest in typical exercises, including sex. The pace of PCD is higher for those with post-pregnancy anxiety. That might be because of quick vacillations in hormone levels. Setting off past injury or misuse. In case you're an overcomer of rape, certain developments or positions may trigger excruciating recollections. This can cause you to feel especially helpless, and tears would be a reasonable response. If this has become a successive issue, you might need to take a break from sex. Consider seeing a certified advisor who can assist you with taking a shot at adapting abilities. What to do if you cry. For actual torment or distress only preceding, during, or after sex, see a specialist. Numerous reasons for this kind of torment are treatable. Something else, consider the explanations behind crying. Here are a few inquiries to pose to yourself at the time. Was it only a couple of stray tears, or would I say I was genuinely crying? Did it feel physical or enthusiastic? What was experiencing my psyche when it has begun? Were my considerations wonderful or upsetting? Is it true that I was remembering a harsh occasion or relationship? Did crying diminish pressure or add to it? On the off chance that your answers incline toward being overpowered with affection or unadulterated actual joy, at that point you likely don't have to stress over it. Crying a couple of tears or even full-scale rambling doesn't generally justify a change. On the off chance that your answers highlight intense subject matters inside the relationship or in the room, here are a couple of things to attempt. Give it time. Go over these inquiries again the following day when you have an ideal opportunity to yourself and can completely investigate your sentiments. Converse with your accomplice. Taking a shot at relationship issues can eliminate any confusion and upgrade your sexual coexistence. Discussion about sex. Talk about your sexual preferences. Be mindful so as not to censure, however, to empower the sharing of sentiments and thoughts to enhance your sexual encounters. It tends to be off-kilter, yet it merits doing. On the off chance that this cycle raises agonizing injury or uncertain feelings, don't excuse crying as immaterial. What to do if your accomplice cries. Seeing your accomplice cry can be a touch of perplexing, so Inquire as to whether something isn't right, yet do whatever it takes not to put down or sound accusatory. Offer solace, yet regard their desires if they need some space. Bring it up later, outside the warmth existing apart from everything else. Listen deferentially. Try not to drive the issue on the off chance that they actually don't have any desire to examine it. Try not to push sex on them. Ask how you can help. Essentially, simply be there for them. The reality. Crying during or after sex isn't irregular and, while it's normally no reason to worry, it tends to be an indication of more profound issues that ought to be tended to. On the off chance that this happens consistently, you may think that it's accommodating to talk with an advisor about what you're encountering. They can assist you with unloading the purpose behind your tears and conceivably work through any basic concerns.